Hi, it's Dorothy Guinan with Scrapbooking Quebec. In this video, I'll be creating a 12 by 12 sketch-inspired layout featuring Rustic Legend by Simple Stories. It's the second of a three-part mini-series called One Sketch, Two Looks, where I show how to create different looks using the same sketch simply by switching up material. I create a page using one collection, and at the end of each video, I show a second layout created using the same design but different supplies. For this series, I'm using Color Me Happy and Rustic Legend, both collections by Simple Stories. Here's the sketch I'll be using from Page Maps. There is a link to it in the description box below. It comes together super quickly. That being said, I struggle with it and I talk you through the entire process. So let's get started. Here is what's on my table. I have three photos. These are fishing photos and they are all matted in basic beige two-tone cardstock from Stampin' Up. Here's the cover sheet to Rustic Legend. So it's very outdoorsy, masculine, rustic, kind of muted. And here is my narrowed down selection of paper. So I think with the greens, the plaids, the ledger paper, all of that works well with the photos and the colors that are in the photos. In addition to this, I will be bringing in some solid cardstock. So I have basic beige and secret sea two-tone cardstock from Stampin' Up. Also, I will show you the rest of this Rustic Legend collection. It is quite picked apart because I've already made a few pages with it. You're going to see though, again, very masculine, very vintage, kind of muted. It is really quite a beautiful collection. In addition to this, I'll show you the embellishments I'll be playing with. I do have a 12 by 12 sticker sheet that came in the paper pack. And I also have a pack of self-adhesive brads that has a bit of chipboard on it. And I have a chipboard collection as well. It's an embellishment pack. So I also, of course, have the sketch handy. And you will see that pop up in the left-hand corner of my screen almost now. What I'm going to do first is play around with my papers to create my foundation page. So you see me looking for an order. I actually like it quite a bit with the basic beige in the background, but that switches up. Looking at it now, I kind of wish I kept it that way. That being said, I continue playing with it. And in the end, I end up with quite a dark base page, which is very, very different for me. This is the combination that I end up going with. So what I will do off camera is I will cut down these papers. I'm going to ink them up and I will come back and show you what it looks like. And I will also write measurements on the screen. So here is my base page. So you can take a screenshot if you want to copy what I'm doing here, but basically the measurements I'm putting on the screen are for visible paper only for all of these except the green check paper that you see, the second one in from the left. I cut them all bigger and I overlapped. I started by taking a piece of scrap 12 by 12 cardstock, an ugly piece of paper. On top of it, I adhered the two strips, the plaid and the blue at each end, the right and the left ends. Then I adhered the off-white, then the narrow navy blue strip, then the green grid paper. As you can see now, I'm playing around with that ledger paper for creating a mat. You can see that on the sketch where I will be placing my photos. And in doing so, I know I'm going to need second mats for my photos. So I just additioned that secret C and I will end up cutting photo mats with that a little bit later on. Now what I'm doing is working with this ledger paper. So you can see there's a block on the sketch that's kind of square. That's what I'm going to do with this. So I'm just trimming it down a bit, a little bit longer than it is, I should say a little bit more wide than it is long, because what I want to do is cut myself a notebook border edge. So I have the Creative Memories, it's called a border maker system, I think, and I have the notebook border cartridge. I love doing that with ledger paper. So I cut myself out a notebook border, and I will be trimming it down a bit. I want it to be more square. And again, for the photos, mats, and this block, I will put measurements for that on the screen in just a moment. What I will do first, however, is add a bit of ink to this block. And I'm using Smoky Slate from Stampin' Up. And by the way, I did ink up the edges of the paper for the foundation page as well, using the very same ink. So at this point, you can see I did keep the block and the photos loose because I'm going to want to play around with placement of the embellishments before I actually commit to adhering these to the page. But I'm basically following the sketch. It's a really super easy sketch. So again, I'm keeping these loose, not adhered, until I know where I'm going to place my title, my journaling, and all that kind of stuff. So let's have a peek at my embellishments. First of all, in this first little pot here, I have all of those chipboard pieces from the chipboard embellishment pack. These are not adhesive. In this second little pot, I have a cut-apart sheet. It's a tag cut-apart sheet from the collection, so I cut those all up. And again, there are tags on the sketch, so this is going to be perfect. In this third little pot here, I have a bunch more cut-apart sheets. This Rustic Legend collection from Simple Stories was absolutely full of cut-apart sheets, and I've been using them for embellishments. And in this bottom little tray here, I do have my adhesive brads. There's also a little bit of adhesive chipboard on that as well. Underneath is just the packaging for the chipboard embellishment pack. In addition to this, I do have the 12 by 12 sticker sheet that is part of this collection paper pack. So what I'm going to do right now is create embellishment clusters, basically following the sketch. You can see there is a title in the top left area, so I'm going to do that, and the journaling on tags is going to be towards the bottom right. So I am totally following the sketch here. I don't have much title options in this collection at this point. I have the big word legend. I will show it to you at one point, I think, from the sticker sheet, but it doesn't really go. It's not something that I would put on a fishing layout for my husband. So I do end up going with another one there. It says capture the good times. It's kind of small. If you look at the sketch, there is a tag, and on top of it, there is a title layered. So I was playing around with a few tags. I did pick out one that has a green tip and kind of a beige color lined end. I have this other piece. It's from a cut-apart sheet. It says get the picture, and underneath it it's written capture the moment, something like that. The sentiment went well with the theme of this story, and I'm thinking of layering it behind the tag so it does stay there for a while. And now you can see I've moved down to the tags on the right hand side. I feel like this layout is almost too dark or too semi-monochromatic, so that's why I brought in the yellow tag, which led me to look for something with yellow to put in the other cluster. I do find that compass, which is in yellow, and I quite like it because it definitely works with this outdoorsy theme. I tuck in another tag. You can see my tags are straight up and down. I really like how they look on the sketch at an angle, but for some strange reason, when I put something on an angle on my page, I just don't like it. It's a feeling I have inside, even though I really love how they look on the sketch. So I can't explain that, so I'm going with them straight because that's what I'm feeling. At this point, I decide I'm going to go ahead and start adhering everything down. So I start with that block there, and then I will come in and do the photos, and I'm not going to make you watch all of this adhering process because it is kind of boring, but I'm more or less following the sketch. That's all adhered. I didn't press down too hard because I will be lifting a bit just to add some of the embellishments underneath the layers and underneath the photos. So I'm starting with that get the picture. Even though part of the word is covered up, I can tell it's get the picture, if that makes any sense. So I put it there. It stays there for a while, but it definitely starts bothering me. Now I'm coming with the tag. I'm having it come out from underneath that photo on the top right. And then I'm going to come in with that sticker, that compass there, and then I will overlap my title on top of it. I do find my title kind of small, to be perfectly honest, but that's what I'm going with. It does work with the story of this layout. Then what I will do is come in and adhere the tags towards the bottom there. I do have to add a bit of journaling. I don't have a lot of journaling to do, but you will see it at the very end. And I am basically following the sketch. The only difference is my tags are going straight up and down, and the ones on the sketch are at an angle. And again, I think I like them better on the sketch, but for whatever reason, when I put them on an angle in front of me, I don't like them. My page was starting to bother me, so I took a little break, and off camera, I ended up moving that cut apart sheet that says "Get the Picture." It's just behind the tag in that title area. If you look at it now, it's moved over more towards the right. Also, I adhered an embellishment underneath that photo on the left. There are little chipboard arrows there. Now what I'm doing is additioning little pieces to fill in the tag holes. So I do have those self-adhesive brads, but I ended up with these little low profile chipboards with stars on them. I quite like that. I still didn't like my layout. So as you can see, the entire mat that's in the middle, I lifted it. I couldn't figure out why I didn't like it. So I lifted everything up. I only have a little tear in that plaid paper. And now what you see me doing is flipping around my foundation page. I actually quite like it with the plaid at the top, but there is a rip that I can't seem to hide. So in the end, I decide to flip it 180 degrees. So now the plaid is on the, or it will be, I should say, the plaid will be on the left instead of on the right. And the reason why I think I like this better is because the plaid, when it was on the right-hand side, basically ended up being underneath those two photos on the right. And it was like I was losing my photos. The photo that's on the left, when the plaid is on the left, is okay. It still pops because there is that off-white ledger paper underneath. So what I did was I adhered that entire block with my foundation page flipped 180 degrees. Then I adhered my title again, and you can see that cut apart piece that says "Get the Picture" is no longer there. That really was bothering me. This page is quite busy and it's outside of my comfort zone. I think I just had too much going on. What I also pointed out there was that I wanted another piece of yellow on this page. So if you look at the bottom, I stamped with a close to my heart date stamp the abbreviation for the month of June in crushed curry ink from Stampin' Up, and it just gave a very slight repetition of that yellow in a third spot on my page. Now what I'm going to do is show you the other layout I created using the very same design, only different supplies. The page on the right, I created that with Color Me Happy from Simple Stories, a very different collection than Rustic Legend that I was using today. So that is the very same design, only different material. Also, I will show you the layout that I created in the first video in this series and its page that uses the identical design. So this video as well will be listed and linked below. This one I did it on YouTube. Of course, a different sketch, but I used Color Me Happy for the layout on the left, and the layout on the right is the very same sketch, the very same page design, only different material. I used Rustic Legend for that one. So that is basically it. So far, I have created 2 designs in this series, 1 sketch, 2 looks, and there is 1 more to come. I'm not quite sure when that will be. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Have a great day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.